Welcome to Spotlight Gulf Coast, a weekly showcase of people and events across South Mississippi. Sponsored by the IP Casino Resort and Spa, Mississippi Power Company, Wykert Realtors Gulf Properties, and Butch Ostelet Autoplex.
Hi everyone, this is Todd Trenchard, Executive Director of the Baco Foundation of South Mississippi, welcoming you to another segment of Spotlight Gulf Coast. Each week we're coming into your living room talking about what's going on all across South Mississippi, and we want to thank our sponsors for this generous opportunity. Today we're privileged to have the 10th President of William Carey, Dr. Burnett, as our guest. And Dr. Burnett, thank you so much for taking the time. It's really not that far of a drive from Tradition, I guess you're...
No, I do have an office
in Hattiesburg?
I do have an office in Tradition that I come to at least once a week. But today I drove straight down from my Hattiesburg office, and it's less than an hour to get straight down Highway 49. So it's a pleasure to be here and pleasure talking about William Carey and what's going on with our Gulf Coast campus.
I know you're very passionate about William Carey, and we're going to certainly get to that, but you've got a rich history and education, and I think that's important for people to know that, I mean, you've really come the whole gamut.
Yeah, yeah. I have taken a non-traditional path to be one of the college presidents in the state of Mississippi.
Right.
I started out as a high school band director, and I grew up just about my entire life in the Hattiesburg area. Mm-hmm. I went to 3 or 4 different schools growing up. My dad was a minister, and so he moved around to different churches in South Mississippi, mostly in the Hattiesburg area. I graduated from Oak Grove High School back in 1982 and went to Southern Miss to be a high school band director. That's just what I knew I wanted to do with my entire life.
Right.
And I did that for 11 years. I had a great education at Southern Miss and had a great time being a high school band director, and a lot of good memories of the coast, because there are a lot of good band programs here on the coast, and coming to Gulf Coast marching contest as a high school student and taking my bands. I was the band director at Oak Grove, my alma mater,
right?
Which was a great experience. But then God kind of led my path in a different direction to get into school administration. So I was blessed at 33 years old to move into the principalship at Oak Grove Middle School. So I went from being a high school band director to being over 1,100 middle school students.
Right.
Interesting experience for sure, and loved that age group and loved the experience. And really being a band director prepared me for that because there's so many leadership opportunities that you have to have in being a high school band director, with fundraising, with community relations, with discipline, with planning and being creative. It was just kind of a good transition in a lot of ways. Of course, I had a lot to learn, especially being a very young principal. So I did that for 10 and a half years at Oak Grove Middle School, finished my PhD in educational administration, and decided that I wanted to run for superintendent. I'm from Lamar County. I went to Purvis Elementary School, graduated from Oak Grove High School, and so that was my home county. I worked there for 26 years, so I decided to run for school superintendent in Lamar County in 2007 and was elected, and served 2 terms as school superintendent. But for 10 years of that time, I was an adjunct professor at William Carey. I just felt it was very important as a school administrator to still be in the classroom and to know what the classroom felt like, and to do it at the college level was a real treat. So William Carey is very gracious to me to keep me on board for 10 years as an adjunct. And at the end of my term, my second term as school superintendent, the Dean of Education position at William Carey came open. I had 28 years of service in public schools.
Right.
And 10 years of experience at William Carey as an adjunct. And Dr. King was gracious enough to offer me the job of Dean of Education in 2014. So I spent 7 years at Carey serving as the Dean of Education, and had a great time. It was very interesting to get on that side of teacher preparation. I'd been supervising teachers and recruiting teachers, but I hadn't been taking them through the educational process and going through the licensure process. So it was an interesting turn of events, and very exciting to be able to work with all the school districts in the state. And that's really what I did as Dean of Education. We formed partnerships with school districts all over the state of Mississippi, and my time as a superintendent really played a huge part in that, because I had contacts and friends all over the state where we were able to build cohort programs for William Carey University, and consequently the School of Education grew from a little over 1,000 students to 1,800 students last year. And we're facing a massive teacher shortage in Mississippi. So the growth of the School of Education at William Carey has not just been good for William Carey, it's been good for Mississippi.
Right.
We graduated this past summer just from the School of Education, 632.
So it's explosive growth. This is something that's really unheard of.
It's explosive growth. When you compare to amongst the nation, there's a 35% decline in teacher education across teacher ed programs in the nation. And for us to increase by that big percentage and to graduate that many, and it's at the undergraduate level for their first year of teaching, it's at the graduate level, it's at the educational leadership level for those going to be a school principal. So it's really every facet of the educational experience. So that was tremendously rewarding. And about 2.5, 3 years ago, Dr. King asked me to step in the role as Executive Vice President. We lost our former Executive VP to be a president at a college in Tennessee.
Right.
And so he asked me to step up, which I had not seen in my path. And I told him when I took the job, I said, as long as you're going to stay 4 or 5 years, we'll just retire together.
Right.
And I'd love to work alongside you, support you, because he had done so much to help and support me. And then the next summer, he announced to everybody that that would be his last year. Mm-hmm. And so I did not know that going in. Certainly wasn't trying to create a pathway to become president, but it just worked out.
Right. And talking to you and listening to that resume, I mean, you are the perfect candidate.
Well,
I mean, you couldn't draw it up. You didn't start out that way, but who could have more experience in so many more areas?
And just building connections, which is key to leadership success. Mm-hmm. And this is my 37th year in education. No sign or possibility of slowing down anytime soon.
Right.
And I think I have a lot of years ahead of me.
You do, and I know you're going to do a fantastic job. We've just got a few seconds here, but
okay.
On the next segment, I do want to talk about, it's a rich tradition at William Carey. You're only the 10th president. You're talking about
right.
longevity and stuff. You were joking. You probably won't live as long as some of the others that served, but we're going to take a short commercial break. You don't want to touch that remote. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. Of course, we're joined by the president of William Carey, Dr. Burnett. And Dr. Burnett, tradition has been such an asset, not only to William Carey, but to the community college, to Southern Miss. It's become this sort of the synergy
right.
that is going on right there.
That's right.
And a lot of it had to do with, it was just a shortcut to get to the 49, and it started connecting, and I think Joe Canizero saw that and has built something that, let's talk about that, because a lot of people, you'd be surprised, on the coast really don't understand what's going on there. There's a lot of things going on right there, but they're not really sure what it is.
Some people are not sure, and some people are not even familiar or understand that that's our campus. Mm-hmm. There on Highway 67, right across from the Tradition community.
Right.
We've built there, of course, after Hurricane Katrina. We were on Highway 90 for decades, in the old Gulf Coast Military Academy property that our president, Dr. Noonkester, who was the one that was president for 33 years that I mentioned to you earlier, he moved us down to a presence in the Gulf Coast in the 70s. And we bought that property, and that had really been our identity, Carey on the coast, right there on Highway 90.
Right.
A beautiful campus, historic. But after Katrina, we had to go somewhere. We knew we needed to rebuild further away from the Gulf, and we're just so blessed to have the partnership with the tradition community and Mr. Canizero, and what we think will be more explosive in the future right there. But that campus is growing. And Dr. Cassandra Connor, a household name in public schools on the Gulf Coast, serving two of the school districts here on the coast for many years, is guiding that campus as our vice president. And last fall, we saw a 15% enrollment increase. And so that campus now, we have 5,600 students overall, but over 1,000 of them are down here on the coast.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I know that the coast has been very important to you. I mean, some of the people that you're able to attract here, just remember Ben Carson not too long ago.
Right.
And it's almost surreal, John Ashcroft.
We've had some big names in Hattiesburg just last month. We had Tim Tebow.
Right.
And so we'll be back on the coast. Haven't set the exact date, but it'll be sometime in April for our traditional time down here on the coast for our scholarship banquet. But we want to do a better job of telling our story on the Gulf Coast.
Mm-hmm.
And, the Gulf Coast, as we all know, is spread out. It's not just one little centered area like our campus at Hattiesburg. And we want all the Gulf Coast to know about what's going on at Tradition, because you can get just about any undergraduate degree at our Tradition campus that you can at the Hattiesburg campus, and especially in the area of nursing and business. And I mentioned the graduation numbers in the School of Education. We have great partnerships with the coastal K-12 school districts, and the growth in the School of Education is in large part due to the Tradition campus and the education department down here. Of course, I guess the crowning jewel of the Tradition campus right now would have to be our School of Pharmacy. Mm-hmm. The whole Gulf Coast area went together to help support that financially to get it off the ground.
Right. And
we've graduated 2 full classes of pharmacists from our School of Pharmacy. We have full national accreditation, and now are actively recruiting for next year's class. Most pharmacy programs across the nation are going down in numbers. Mm-hmm. Ours has maintained the same number that we started with, so we've been very solid, and we even hope to grow a little bit. We have about 10 or 12 students that we could grow by the number that we're accredited for, so we have a little room for growth in pharmacy, but we're holding our own. We feel really good about that.
I think that it's also important to note, and I've been a part of, like I said, served on the Community College Foundation Board for many, many years, and Dr. Graham saw the same thing you did. You have to be engaged in your local community.
Absolutely.
And y'all did that. I can remember it clear as day, bringing in Dick Vogel, good friend of mine from USM. Everybody knew Dick. Jennifer Farage, who's a very dear friend of mine for many, many years, out in the community. You can't just go out in the community and ask them to do something if you're not a part of.
Right.
And you've made that intention very clear. But these type of events that you're talking about down there on the coast do mean something. It does mean something, and it keeps it top of mind. I think we could always do a better job. We were talking about how a few years ago nursing was the sort of focus for so many people. Then COVID comes. Now you're starting to see it.
Yeah.
But that's an opportunity.
It's a huge opportunity. Mm-hmm. We actually saw an increase in nursing and education numbers during COVID. Most schools were struggling and declining, and our enrollment actually went up during COVID because I think we were engaged in some key areas of people that were able to capitalize, for lack of a better word, during the COVID crisis. With education, the licensure guidelines changed, and a lot of people were able to go into education that had not been able to. And with the School of Nursing, a lot of people were desiring to make a difference and to go into nursing. We've seen that slow down just a little bit, but our whole College of Health Sciences, because it's not just nursing and pharmacy. We have a doctorate in nursing, a master's in nursing. We have health administration, education, health information management. We also have a doctorate in physical therapy on our Hattiesburg campus. So we've really become kind of the medical center of South Mississippi, in my opinion, coupled with our College of Medicine. You can't leave out our medical school. Now we've doubled our size, over 200 in each class of the medical school in the Hattiesburg campus. So, and I credit most, if not all, that to the vision of our former president, Dr. Tommy King, who saw an opportunity to expand our mission of helping people to answer God's call to serve others. And what better way to do that than with the field of medicine.
It really is a unique sort of thing that we're watching develop right in front of us, like you said, at that Tradition campus. Now, Alan Sedeth, great friend of mine, many years, of course, at Chevron, and Alan is put in the Hall of Fame, and he's William Carey all the way through, and
absolutely
got to introduce Ben Carson and did one of the best.
He was absolutely entertaining, and
right.
I don't know if you heard me mention this in our discussion before going on camera. Alan and I went to high school together.
Wow. I mean, it's a small world.
So he and I have incriminating pictures of each other. So I have to be nice to him. He has to be nice to me. But seeing him introduce Ben Carson was kind of a highlight because he did such an amazing job. And he is William Carey through and through. He has degrees from other institutions,
right.
but he has his MBA from us, and our MBA is online. We have kind of the who's who of the Gulf Coast who are MBA graduates.
And that might be another nice little campaign to get out there.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short commercial break. I want to come back and talk about where the future's going.
Okay.
And so don't touch that remote. We'll be right back. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking with Dr. Burnett, the 10th president of William Carey. And Dr. Burnett, being in the position of president of the university, like you said, you didn't start out your career this way. You can see all the things that maybe need to be done behind the scenes. You know, you've almost like somebody working at McDonald's. You started sweeping the floor and you made the fries, you made the hamburger, but now you're running and you're steering the ship. Going forward, you use all those, I guess, educational things that you've learned to
absolutely.
process what you want to do go forward.
Right. You use your good and bad experiences, that have happened to you in your professional career to chart the course for the future. And so we have a lot of plans going forward, knowing full well that we wouldn't be where we are now without good leadership in the past. And, if I had $1 for every person that said, how are you going to fill Dr. King's shoes? I could retire and not have to work or do anything.
You don't have to.
That's right. But my standard response, and it's absolutely the truth, is that I'm not trying to fill his shoes, but rather stand on the shoulders of the past presidents, because we've had several immediate past presidents who just did an outstanding job. Dr. Noonkester, I mentioned earlier. Dr. Larry Kennedy was president for 7 or 8 years and really saved the university financially in a lot of different ways. And then Dr. King built on that vision and created things that nobody thought could happen at William Carey University. And the enrollment went from less than 3,000 to now almost to 6,000. So, which is still not where we want it. But we want to grow past there and become more well-known across the nation, not just in the state of Mississippi. But talking about using your past experiences and doing better for the future, one of the first things we realized going forward was that our tuition is very low at William Carey, especially for a private school. If you come to William Carey and you factor in a dorm and you factor in a meal plan and tuition, you're going to pay about the same as you would pay at a public school in Mississippi, which is kind of unheard of for private education. But we realized that our scholarships had not increased in over a decade. And so while our tuition has only gone up slightly, our scholarships have remained the same. So we've done a massive overhaul of our scholarship offering to begin next fall of 2023.
Right.
And this scholarship investment will impact not just students in the dorm, it will impact all students who are commuters, online, those who live on campus or not. It would also impact our current students. It's not just for the new ones coming in. So if a student's a freshman this year and they're receiving a scholarship at this level based on their ACT score, then it's going to be at a whole different level beginning next year. So we're very excited about that. And the average increase is 40%.
Wow.
So we're investing heavily on attracting more students to William Carey University by next fall. In addition to the scholarship increase, we're also going to pay for textbooks for all of our undergraduate students.
Wow.
So that's kind of the hidden cost of higher education. They know you've got to pay tuition.
Right.
And they know that you've got to pay for a place to live and to eat. but you don't factor in a lot of times how much textbooks cost, and it can be staggering.
Oh, it is.
And so we're taking that away from our students and taking that burden off of our students who are at the undergraduate level, whether they're on campus or online or a commuter student. And especially we want to reach out to our community college students. We have a great transfer scholarship for our community college transfers, and also the Phi Theta Kappa, an honor organization for community college students. That has increased dramatically. So our PTK students out there in community colleges, wherever they are, we want them to know that we're investing in them for next fall.
I know the community college system here in Mississippi is unbelievable.
Absolutely.
I'm from New Orleans, and I had never even heard of it. I knew Tulane and I knew
right.
UNO, and but we didn't have anything like this. And learning more about the community college system and the education they get, and they can go right into, it's amazing. Yeah. It's truly, and like you said, an opportunity. I'd be licking my chops just thinking.
And as a parent, I only have one child. He's 24, and yes, he is a William Carey graduate, but he's also a community college graduate.
Right.
And he did his simultaneously. He graduated from both places the same week because he saw the value in getting a career technical degree to go along with his bachelor's degree.
Right.
So the community college system, we embrace. We don't try to talk people out of that because it's really a good deal, and the students that we get from the community colleges are prepared, and we're about 40% made up of community college transfers. So we value those, and with William Carey and Hattiesburg and at Tradition, we can reach out and touch, arguably the best community colleges in the nation. When you're talking about Mississippi Gulf Coast,
right,
Pearl River, and Jones, it would be hard to argue that there are better ones across the nation. So we partner with all the ones in the state, but those three being so close to us, we feel blessed.
We just got a little bit of time, but certainly want to touch on, I'm a big LSU guy, and I think of football and I think of athletics.
Yeah.
And that is, when you think of these major universities like Alabama or Ole Miss, it is that. And of course, William Carey baseball, first thing I think of when I think of William Carey, I've seen them at, down here at the stadium playing.
Right.
And but that's a great opportunity also for growth.
Well, it is. And I tell people all the time, we don't play football. And that everybody just kind of looks at you like you're crazy. We don't have a football team, although William Carey did have 2 football teams in the 50s, and we had 2 winning seasons, and I don't know why they stopped, but they stopped. But even though we don't have football, we have 18 varsity sports. We have 300 athletes, and 30% of those are international students. We have athletes from all over the country, all over the world.
Right.
And just recently, just in the last week, we've won the women's cross-country championship in our athletic conference, the men's cross-country championship, and the girls' soccer championship, and now we're going to the national playoffs. Our men's soccer team is going to Missouri to play in the national championship series.
Right.
Our volleyball team won a school record 28 games, completing their season last year. Our girls softball team hosted the national regional last year and won 48 games. So we don't play football, but we do all of these other sports very well. And we're the home of the first national baseball championship in Mississippi, 1969 NAIA national champions in baseball. So we do athletics pretty well.
I appreciate you coming on, and we just got about 30 seconds. The last thing I wanted to say is I know you talked about wanting to get alumni enrollment.
Right.
Alumni engagement,
right,
and promote that.
Yeah, absolutely. We just want our graduates to know, over 30,000 graduates across the country or the world from William Carey, and we just want them to know that we're reaching out to them more. We want to hear from them, and we want to engage them to let them know what's going on at their university.
Thank you, sir, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. A pleasure to talk about William Carey and the Gulf Coast.
Thank you. We appreciate everybody's support of the Baco Foundation of South Mississippi. Until next time, this is Todd Trenchard saying so long, and may God bless.